Hello, this is going to be a presentation on the Alert Center of Excellence, an overview of what we're doing, and hopefully that'll lead to a lot of question and answer that you folks can pose to us, and we'll have a good interaction. I'm Mike Silovich, the director of the center, and look forward to working with all of you during the next few days. The mission of Alert is very clear, that we want to, detect, mitigate the impact of explosive-related threats, and you can see the range of stakeholders that we have. We're driven by the strategic plans of the components, TSA, CBP, FEMA, Coast Guard. We need to look at their strategic plan and understand where their gaps are and how we can address them best in our center. Our center is organized around 3 different levels. This is shown in this view graph. The top level is the challenges, the grand challenges that are facing the center. That leads us, when we do a barrier analysis, as to how we can address the challenges. That leads us to the fundamental science to overcome the barriers. And then the middle level is, how do we test whether we're making progress overcoming the barriers and leading to addressing the grand challenges. Specifically, the challenges that we are addressing in our center are listed here. You can see them: elimination of illicit explosives, actionable trace detection, ultra-reliable screening, football field away standoff discovery of threats, and finally the last one, which came about as the center evolved, how we do seamless transition of research into the field. The fundamental science program is shown here. We have 4 different thrusts: one in elimination of explosives, characterization, trace detection, bulk detection, and video analytics and signature analysis are the 4 major thrusts of the center. Here are some of the test beds of the center. You can see that there's data sets that allow us to assess the effectiveness of algorithms, whole body imaging, video analytics labs, trace, and multi-mode standoff detection. The partners in the center are as follows. We have 4 strategic partners. That's Northeastern is the lead, BU, Boston University, Purdue, and the University of Rhode Island are the 3 other key strategic partners, and the other partners shown here are focused on specific projects. The key strategic partners have several projects that are incorporated into the center. Industry is a key element of what we do. This is an overview of some of the companies that we work with. And we have also an industrial advisory board component, which is composed of paying members that are contributing resources to the center and allow us to really interact in depth with both large companies and small companies. Give you a few highlights. You can see that we'll have some industrial collaboration highlights coming up next. The first one is astrophysics. We've been working with them for probably about 5 years, and it's going forward as well, to identify how we can do 3-dimensional screening of air cargo containers. The next slide shows the reconstruction algorithms that we've been using to look at anomalies. You can see the anomaly that was highlighted by the little cursor there, and this is really the first product that has been developed for these major air cargo skids, and it was really a wonderful collaboration with astrophysics. You can see a quote here from the press release that astrophysics really put out. Their scanner is currently in use at John F. Kennedy Airport, and we're very, very fortunate to really work closely with this team. On another front, we're looking at advanced explosive detection technologies, trace detection using quantum cascade lasers. We're working in particular with a small company called Pendar Technologies. And you can see the quote here, a couple of quotes. But the key in terms of the impact is that by collaboration with Pendar, they've created funding streams for the company and Alert totaling over $5 million. So the impact of the transition with that company has been very, very strong, and it continues to this day. On a different front, we're looking at the detection of explosives with canines, and dogs tend to be the most effective explosive sensor that is currently available. The technology is kind of basic, dog's nose, and we're working with a company called Detecticam to develop long-lasting training aids so the dogs don't get, it protects the dogs actually, and the training aids are having a long shelf life and can really allow for specific training. And this is an example of the product that Detecticam has created in order to make use of these training aids effectively. Another event that is a collaboration between industry and the components is a trial that we held at the Los Angeles Long Beach Seaport, where we brought, I think, 4 of our companies, there you have them, Pendar, RapidScan, Rigaku, and Smiths, to the port to test their advanced products and the collaborations of those products that Alert had fostered. And we really spent basically 2 days in depth working with CBP, Customs and Border Protection, to show how these products could really advance the ability of CBP to interdict materials that shouldn't be coming into the country. We had 44 Alert, industry, DHS, and CBP representatives at that initial meeting, and I must say that collaboration has really matured and expanded, and really has been a wonderful example of collaboration between the center and Customs and Border Protection. Task orders that are structured with the basic ordering agreement are a mainstay of Alert, especially now that Alert is entering what's called emeritus status as of the end of May. To date, we've had 14 specific task orders that really deal with the transition of our technology into the field and into the industrial partnerships. And you can see that 4 of them are going to be highlighted in this presentation, and I'll just go into them briefly. The first one has to do with the millimeter wave screening capability that you all have experienced in the airports, and the question is, can we enhance the capability of these pieces of equipment to be more specific, to eliminate pat-downs in a very effective way, because that is a major bottleneck at these checkpoints, is that if you have a lot of false alarms, you have to do a lot of pat-downs, and that really slows the whole process down. So we've developed algorithms that allow us to identify signatures of anomalies on the human body that were not identified in the existing algorithms, and that are particularly oriented towards reducing false alarms and expediting the screening capability of these instruments. In the same token, we're looking at, again, efficiency of the checkpoint. And one bottleneck, frankly, is the flow of passengers just putting their divested objects into bins, putting the bins into the X-ray scanner, then revesting as they come out of the X-ray or the millimeter wave, secondary screening system, and then effectively leaving the checkpoint. The problem is that in leaving the checkpoint, there are certain things that happen and that really can be of, I think, major concern to TSA. One is left behind items. That, a person leaves behind an item, they go off, and it's too late to, find out who left it. And so TSA has got to keep these items in storage. They've got to understand that it's their purview to try and reunite the object with the person. And this is a major problem for TSA, which the CLASS project is addressing, in addition to just expediting the efficiency of how people flow through the checkpoint. This next slide shows the algorithms that we're developing to do that expediting, and you can see that there's an alarm that goes off, when a theft occurs, for example, when a left behind occurs, etc. Another project that we're working on is developing simulated cargo containers so that we can assess the capability of screening equipment to find anomalies in these cargo skids, and scanning real cargo skids with anomalies in them is very time consuming. And if we're going to use things like artificial intelligence and machine learning, you need lots of data. And if you have to depend on the real cargo skids for that data, it becomes very expensive, very time consuming, whereas a simulated capability that's realistic is much more capable, we hope, of developing advanced technologies for screening out anomalies. Another aspect is working with industry to create enhanced trace detection capabilities that incorporate existing trace detection and advanced new methods that we're developing with ALERT at the University of Rhode Island. And this is, again, a topic of a task order, which is developing how one can optimize the integration of new technologies into existing technologies. Some future projects that are coming up I'm showing here. These are the topics of perhaps continued task orders, collaboration with industry. The first one has to do with safe control of explosive materials that are on site as a result of an attack, for example, or a spill. How do you encapsulate the material so that you can handle it safely, analyze it, and then, take the next step in terms of the understanding of the event. Another capability, which is of very high interest to Customs and Border Protection, is a wireless, low power, almost zero power, infrared detection sensor to detect the presence of human intrusion into areas that we'd like to monitor. So, for example, if you have people that are trying to cross the border into this country from, another country, and they're coming in with boats and they're landing on the coast and they're going up into a wooded region and transporting drugs and other things, then can we utilize a technology like this to monitor that activity? And the answer is we hope so. And this is a very advanced nanotechnology device that was developed in collaboration with DARPA and United Technologies and ALERT. Drones and low-power sensors are becoming the way to really detect threats, whether they be explosive, whether they be bio threats or environmental threats. And we're developing a number of different strategies to enable these drone-based technologies to be effective. One that we're calling the digital dog nose, which is an explosive detection sensor that is extremely sensitive, almost at the level of a dog nose, that's capable of being mounted on a drone and flying into areas that might have explosive or bio threats, existing in them. That technology was developed at the University of Rhode Island. Another technology, which is again an imaging technology, which is different from the one at Rhode Island, has been developed at the University of Notre Dame, and in collaboration with the Army Research Labs and Alert, we've developed not just a sensor that reduces the cost of an imager by, probably from $85,000 each to roughly hundreds of dollars each. That's really the impact of advanced technology. But the interesting thing is that this now can be mounted on a drone and can be coordinated with cell phone traffic to really monitor large spaces such as soft targets and crowded places, to really look for the imaging of anomalies in those very, very vulnerable environments. Key to the impact of Alert are the conferences and events and workshops that highlight transition and build a community. We have a yearly technology showcase that has been, something that we've been doing for the last several years. The recent one was a virtual one, had over 150 attendees. The ADSA, Algorithm Development for Security Applications Workshops, has now in the 23rd one that's currently going on. And again, the one that was held yesterday virtually had over 150 attendees. The theme of that workshop has traditionally been focused on transportation security administration problems. And the one yesterday was on autonomous systems, which are very prevalent now with the advent of machine learning and AI. So there's a lot of interest in that. And a complementary workshop that's currently just getting started. It's going to have the third one, hopefully in the fall, that's focused on customs and border protection problems. And we're looking at, it's called the Adept Workshop. We're looking at, again, things that are relevant to CBP, like the interdiction of materials that should not be coming into the country. There's the Aspire workshop, which is focused on students and how we can, really connect our students with industry. And then there's the Industrial Advisory Board meetings that we have that, again, are focused on issues that are relevant to our paying members of the Alert Center of Excellence. Students are our most important product, as the yellow highlight shows. We've had almost 200 students trained in Alert, and over 120 of them are working in Alert DHS fields. It's really a privilege to work with these people and see them mature and make an impact on the Homeland Security enterprise. We're also reaching down into the community college, and sorry about the clock, but you're going to have to let it ring. The community college and high school levels, and we'll really work to maintain a pipeline of these students coming into the universities and working with industry on the problems that Alert is facing. Finally, in terms of training, first responder training is really a forte of the University of Rhode Island, and they've been doing this for many, many years And the Alert Center has really allowed this training to culminate into major impact on the alert community. So with that ends the presentation. There's ways of continuing to be connected to the Alert Center. You can certainly email us at alertinfo. You can look at our website. You can look at Twitter and Facebook. And you can email me. You can go to m.silovich@northeastern.edu, and I'll be happy to answer questions, engage in dialogue, and, basically be available to create synergy. Take good care, and everyone stay safe in this pandemic era.